In the last 30 days alone, I've generated over 180 million views, gained 200,000 new followers, and made more than $15,000 across my network of faceless Instagram theme pages. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you could start your own faceless Instagram theme page business from complete scratch in the next 45 minutes. You don't need to show your face, you don't need to spend a single penny on ads, and you don't need to have any prior business experience. This is the same system that I've used to build multiple pages that now run on autopilot, which generate views, followers, and income on a daily basis. So lock in, make this video full screen, because by the end of this video, you'll know the exact blueprint to launch your first faceless page, start posting viral content, and turn it into a profitable business. Let's get into it. Have you ever been scrolling on Instagram and you come across videos that look similar to the ones on the screen here, where maybe there's some sort of motion graphic, or maybe there's someone speaking with subtitles coming up and background music similar to this one and this one, or maybe even one like this, where there's just a simple video that's reposted with text and a brand that comes up at the top. Well, these videos are posted by someone who's running a faceless Instagram theme page. And essentially what these pages are they are accounts on Instagram where the owner doesn't have to show their face or reveal their identity. What they do instead is they pick a specific topic and they repurpose or repost existing viral content about that topic onto their theme page. And what that allows them to do is grow an online audience, build a following, and monetize, all without having to show their face or reveal their identity. All right. And here on the screen, you could see some of the biggest, most prominent Instagram theme page, some of which you might be following already. And you could see in the branding and in the content, there is nothing about the person who is actually running the page, right? No one knows who the owner is unless they have it in their bio, for example. And if we scroll down here, you'll see some of my own Instagram theme page, as I've been running these for years now. And you can see that they are all about a specific topic, and you cannot see my face or my identity in any of the content. Yet they're still able to grow and monetize, all without having to show my identity. All right. And as stated in the title of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to start a profitable faceless Instagram theme page step by step. All right. So let's get straight into step one, which is picking a niche. So a niche is essentially a topic. It is what your page is going to revolve around. All right. And here are some examples of profitable niches: faith, motivation, fitness, masculinity, business, AI. These are just some examples of profitable topics from people that I'm working with, or even my own pages here. But you're by no means restricted to these specific niches. If you want to have a proper, accurate way of picking a perfect niche for yourself, you could actually look down here. All you need to do is make sure that the niche that you're choosing meets this criteria, where it has proof of concept, so it has demand. You could see that other people are interested about the specific topic. It's something that you're personally interested in. It's very important to make sure that you're interested in it, because if you're not, first off, you're not going to have enough knowledge about that specific topic to provide value to the audience. And it just makes it so much easier to burn out, right? And you're not going to enjoy the process. The whole beauty of this business is that you could enjoy the process and post about something that you're interested in, something that you're passionate about. All right. And then also you want to make sure that the topic or the niche has income potential, which allows you to monetize with open doors later down the line. All right. So if you can see this neat little diagram here, this is essentially how you could find your perfect niche. It's the intersection between proof of concept, personal interest, and income potential. All right. And once you have your niche chosen and you know what your page is going to revolve around, the next step is to brand the page. You need to make it look professional. You need to make it look like it stands out, and it just needs to be a clean, high quality looking brand that people want to follow and associate with, right? And when it comes to the branding, there are four main variables. There's the username, there's the logo, there's the bio, and there's the SEO name. All right. And we're going to go over each of these in depth so that you know exactly what each of these are and how to put together a high quality one for your brand. All right. So first up, we're going to start off with the username. So here are some rules of thumb to keep in mind. You want to make sure it's memorable. Ideally, you could keep it 2 keywords. It doesn't have to be. You'll see some other big ones that have some sort of word where it's just 1 word, but it's like, some unique way, or maybe there's 3 keywords. Ideally, you want to stick with 2 keywords. This is what works best. Also, you want to make sure the spelling is correct. Remember, we're building a brand here. It needs to be professional. It needs to be recognizable. So, having extra letters or weird spellings where it's incorrect is not ideal. And also you want to avoid numbers or underscores or periods, ideally. All right. By no means is it impossible to grow a professional big brand with these things, but this is what you want to keep in mind when it comes to formulating your own brand. All right. And here are some good examples of usernames you could take a look at. And here are some bad examples that you want to avoid and make sure that your username is nothing like these ones. All right. So that's the username. And now let's move on to the logo here. So here are some more rules of thumb. You want to make sure it's memorable, simplistic, minimalistic, and ideally 2 to 3 colors max. All right. Most of the time is going to be 2 colors, but in some cases 3 colors. All right. Here are some popular formats. It could be, I'll make sure it showed up on the screen here actually. So you could have it as an icon or a symbol that represents your brand or would resonate with your audience. So here's an example of this done properly. So this is like a faith-based, Christianity-based page. You know, there's some sort of cross with like a shield and a crown icon in a nice, neat, simplistic, high-quality way. And then there's one like a motivation page like this where it's some sort of eagle or some sort of, you know, bird, which represents the brand. All right. So the icon or symbol that represents the brand is one way to do it. You could also just do the initials of the brand. So for example, Entrepreneur Archived is EA, Motivation Society is MS. You could see how the initials are sort of an emblem or as a symbol here on the brand. And then also you could have just basic sort of text as the logo. This one you could see Business AI, and there's like a little design here which inverts the colors, and then also one here where it just says wealth, but the W has this cool little design to it. All right. And here are some good examples to reference, and here are of course some bad examples to know what to stay away from, to know what to avoid. All right. But by sticking with one of these 3 formats, you're good to go. Now let's move on to the bio. So for the bio, here are some more rules of thumb. You want to make sure it has a clear value proposition at the top. So you want to make sure that people who click on your page know what they can expect by following the page. And also you need to persuade them to follow the page, right? Your bio is the perfect place for you to be able to sell the viewer as to why they should be following your page, right? Think of the bio as a way to optimize or convert as many people from viewers into followers, okay? You want to make sure it's concise and specific. You don't want to have too much fluff or unnecessary words that don't belong there. It's typically 3 lines. It also can include emojis or icons on the left side before the line starts, like this here. And you could start each word with caps, capital letters. Just psychologically makes the words easier to read, and it's been proven to convert more followers. And then also you typically want to include a CTA for the last line of the bio. All right. And a CTA just means a call to action. And if you're just starting the page, you want your call to action to be to follow the page for XYZ reason. And then once you're at a larger stage where you're monetizing, you're making good money, or you're beginning to monetize, you want to have your CTA to point towards whatever it is that you're trying to direct your audience towards. All right. And then again, here's a good example of a bio. You could see it's well structured. You could see it aligns with the niche. The emojis are nice, and it is clear what the page is about and what the viewer would benefit by following the page, and also has that CTA there. And then this one is just a bad example. It's not formatted right. It's kind of vague. It's not specific, and it just doesn't give someone a clear, obvious reason to follow the page. Okay. So now let's go on to the SEO name. All right. So for those who don't know, SEO stands for search engine optimization. And essentially this is a mechanism within Instagram which allows Instagram to sort the proper pages when someone looks up a keyword, right? So if someone looks up discipline, for example, since this page here has discipline in their SEO name, it will be ranked and sorted towards the top of that search result, right? It's the same with websites. This is just a function within the online space, all right? And on Instagram, you have a section where you can include SEO name, which relates to your brand. So here, this is very, very simple. Here are just 3 formats that you could follow by. The first one, the most obvious one, is the one we could see up here, which is just 3 keywords that relate to your brand. So if you're in motivation, it could be discipline, mindset, motivation. If you're in health, it could be, health. Let's say it's a gut health page. You could say gut health or nutrition, something like that. You just want to make sure it's 3 keywords that relate to your brand. And then also you could have your username and 2 keywords. So this could be elevate, start, and then mindset, motivation. That would work. And then once you have more authority in your niche, once you're more credible, then what you could do is just have your username in your SEO name. Because at that point you have some more authority, you have a bigger following. It really doesn't matter too much. And you could look more for aesthetics rather than function. All right, but you wouldn't need anything else other than these 3 formats here. All right, so that by doing that, you should now have your niche, what your topic of your page is, what it's going to revolve around. It should be well branded. And once it's branded, once you have it looking clean, high quality, professional, now you need to grow it, right? And the main way you're going to grow it is by posting content onto your page. So let's go over content creation. So here is what you're going to want to do in order to post high quality, viral content onto your theme page in order to grow in the most effective, efficient way possible. So what you could do is you could create a list of the 10 fastest growing pages in your niche. Okay, do some research, click around, type in some keywords, just try to identify the 10 fastest growing pages in your niche. You could use a website called socialblade.com in order to get the analytics of these pages. That way you could see how fast they're really growing, and then you could rank them based off that. All right. And then once you find these 10 pages, you want to study and analyze these pages very closely, specifically their content. So you want to look over the pages, see what they're doing, what type of content they're posting, identify the patterns of what's working well for other people, what's maybe not working as well for others, and just closely study these pages. That way you could get a better understanding of what's actually working, what's actually allowing these pages to grow. Okay. And then as you're studying these pages, you could save their most viral content within 30 days. So within 30 days, like recent content, into an Instagram folder. Okay. That way you could sort of save the most viral, the highest quality videos from the most viral, the highest quality pages all into one folder for you to reference. Okay. And then here's what you're going to want to do once you have these in the folder. You're not going to want to directly repost their videos and just download them, repost them onto your page. That's not what you're doing. You're not directly copying them either. You're not just going to remake the exact video and then post onto your page. You're not going to do that. But you're also not going to reinvent the wheel. You're not going to just kind of go off on your own and try to, pave your own way, something that you think might work. You're not going to do that. You want to go off of something that still has proof of concept, something that's already been proven to work for others. So in this case, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to remodel this viral content with a unique twist. Okay? You're going to want to even aim to improve it and make it even higher quality than the original. Right? So up here, we are gathering the most viral content within the highest performing pages in your niche. And then we're going to be remodeling this content with a unique twist with our own branding and aiming to improve it from the original that went viral still. Okay? And here's exactly how you could do that. So first, you're going to want to go into your viral content folder. It should look something like this. You click on it, you'll see all the videos that you've saved there. This is a cool function that Instagram has added. Then you're going to pick a specific reel from this folder that you want to remodel. And then what you're going to want to do is find and download the original clip from the reel, typically from YouTube. Okay. And the reason I say this is because depending on the niche that you're in, depending on what you choose, is also going to influence the way you source the original content. All right. So in most cases, you could find the original content on YouTube, right? But in other cases, it might be Pinterest, for example. It might be X. There might be some other platforms that you could source from. But in most cases, it'll be YouTube. And then what you could do once you find the original video on YouTube is you want to download it in 1080p quality. So this is the highest quality that Instagram allows. And the easiest, most efficient way to do this is to use a website called loader.to. All you do is you make a clip of the part of a video that you want from YouTube, and then you paste it into loader.to, and loader.to will convert it from a YouTube clip into a downloadable MP4 at 1080p. All right. Then you could download it. And then what you're going to want to do once you have the original clip is edit it and remodel it with your own branding and your own unique touch. Okay. And also, depending on how you remodel it is going to be dependent on the niche that you're in, right? There's different ways of remodeling different types of content, and there's different types of content that do better in different types of niches, right? So for example, let's just say it is a simple subtitle reel where there's someone speaking and there's, text that comes up. What you could do to remodel this is you could take that same video, but you could sort of package it in a different way, which is unique to you and your brand, right? So first off, one you could do is you could switch the background music from the original video. You could change the subtitles to be a different font to the original video that you saw. You could have your watermark placed in a different spot. You can maybe include a section of that clip that wasn't included in the original version. These are all examples of how you could edit and remodel it with your own unique branding and touch, right? But like I said, this is going to depend on what type of content you're remodeling in the first place, because the types of content that do well in different niches depend. And then what you're going to want to do is do this 2 to 3 times a day consistently. All right. It is very important to stay consistent. You don't want to post one day and then wait a few days and post again at a completely different time. You don't want to do that. Instagram likes and values consistency. This is how you build a good impression with the algorithm, right? So if they see you posting every day, 2 to 3 times around the same times of the day, they're going to see you as a reliable, dependable source in terms of keeping people on their platform and pushing out your content. And that's what Instagram wants at the end of the day. Okay. So post 2 to 3 times a day consistently. And the next step after this is going to be organic growth. So just being able to grow your page effectively and build your audience and build a brand, right? Build the following. And what's important to understand is that content is going to fuel your organic growth. It's going to be the main fuel, the main ignition to your organic growth is going to be the content itself. But here are a few growth strategies to help you reach your first 1,000 followers, which are typically the toughest. Once you get to 1,000, it becomes typically a lot more smooth sailing from there, right? And also what I want to point out is you might hear other people talking on YouTube saying, oh, it's just your hashtags, or, oh, it's your posting times. And they hyperfixate on these like little details when in reality, that's not going to be the make or break as to why your reel goes viral or why it flops. All right. Yes, they have some implication. They could help in a small degree, sort of pushing your content to the right audience. But really, the most important factor that determines whether your reel will perform well and get pushed out or not is the quality, right? If the quality of the content is there, the hashtags don't really matter and the posting times don't really matter. All right. That might be adverse to what you've heard from other people in the past, but this is the harsh truth. All right. Don't pay attention to these quick fixes that other people might try to push onto you. But here are, like I said, some more tangible growth strategies to help you get to the first 1,000 followers. So firstly is the 1-2 punch strategy. So this is where you find small active accounts, less than 10,000 followers in your niche that look legitimate, that look real and are active. Follow them, like 3 to 5 of their most recent posts, and just leave a genuine comment on their page. And repeat this around 10 times per hour to build early engagement and encourage reciprocation onto your page. It doesn't need to be as much as 10 times an hour, but you kind of just want to do this passively. When you find yourself on your phone or scrolling, just pay attention, find and look for pages that are in your niche that are kind of smaller but active, and just like their content, follow the page, engage with it. And due to the reciprocity rule, which is a rule within human psychology, a lot of people are going to reciprocate this, which could help just give a little boost onto your page. All right. Next up is the stealing follower strategy. This one, you're just going to want to find 2 to 3 large accounts in your niche, 100,000 to 1 million followers, turn on post notifications, try to be the first to comment a thoughtful comment on the video that they post, and then boost it to the top by liking it with your other accounts or account, right? That way it shows up to the top. And stay consistent with this for 2 weeks, track which page drives the most followers and focus on that one. So essentially what this is going to do, guys, is if you leave a thoughtful, insightful comment on a video and you like it so it shows up at the top, if it's a good comment, other people will like it as well. And you might find yourself at the top of a comment section of a page that has like 700,000 followers, right? And if it's an insightful comment, you could have, tens of thousands of people that are liking that comment. You could get tens, even hundreds of followers that come from that, all from just leaving an insightful comment, right? Obviously, this is not going to work every time, but I have seen this produce substantial results, okay? So like I said, this is just something to help you get to that first 1,000 followers, and then you don't need to worry more about like these manual strategies. The last thing you could do is a shout out for shout out or collaboration. So this is where you simply reach out to smaller sized accounts, ideally with slightly higher followings from you, and then you inquire about a shout out for shout out collaboration with them, right? You're going to want to pitch a real collaboration to cross promote and tap into each other's audiences. So this is essentially a win-win, right? You could reach out to them, say, hey, we're in the same niche. It looks like you're consistent. The quality looks good. You could see that I'm in the same niche as well. What are your thoughts on, doing a shout out for shout out or a collab where we collab on a reel? That way my audience gets introduced to your page and your audience gets introduced to my page. It's like a win-win, right? A lot of people are going to be down for that, especially if they're new and your content's actually good and they don't mind being associated with you, right? And also there is the basic, simple follow for follow. I'm not a big fan of this one. This one is kind of just like spammy and you have to go there and manually, continue following and unfollowing these pages. at a high level. You don't want to do that necessarily to a huge high level to where it's spammy, but it could help just following some other smaller pages in your niche to build that momentum at the beginning. All right. And also keep in mind, guys, you can't spam any of these. You don't want to be spamming comments or spamming likes or spamming follows on pages because Instagram might detect you as a bot. So typically you're going to want to limit it to 20 actions per hour. Okay. So, don't go commenting 80 different times within like 30 minutes. Right? That's just not going to be a good look. It's not like you're going to get 100% flagged for that, but you're opening the possibility of Instagram thinking you're a bot, and you don't want that. Okay? And then also what you could do is you could use trending audio. So by combining high quality content with trending audio, it significantly increases the likelihood of your reel going viral and gaining traction within the Instagram algorithm. All right, so you're going to want to build a folder of trending and high quality audios using the same exact process that we talked about on how to find the viral clips. Right? So go to the top 10 highest performing pages in your niche, scroll through their most viral outlier content. And as you're saving those videos into their folder, also pay attention to what audios they're using, right? And then you may find that there's specific audios in your niche that are performing a lot better on average compared to others, right? And you'll want to identify what those audios are and sort of sprinkle them within your content as well, right? That's because you have the proof that they're trending, and this is just a good way to combine it with your high quality content in order to increase the likelihood of you going viral as much as possible. Okay? And now we are on to step 5, which I'm sure is the step you guys have all been waiting for, the most exciting part, of course, which is monetization. All right? So as you're posting this content, as you're building your brand, as you're growing your following and your audience, there's going to be several different ways that you could monetize that audience and convert these viewers that you're getting into income. All right. And I'm going to break down a few of these methods here, the benefits of them, and examples of how they work in real time. All right. So the first option are digital products. This is one of the best options. I'm sure you hear some other people talking about them as well. And that's because they're very good. They're very high leverage. They have high profit margins, 90 to 95%. You create them once and you could sell them an infinite amount of times, which is just as high leverage as it gets, right? There's no upfront costs most of the time, and if there is, it's very, very minimal. They're easy to set up and automate. You also don't need any inventory or storage, of course. You don't need to worry about shipping or return hassles, and it's just passive income. Because once you have content that's working for you 24/7 on your page, bringing new views, bringing new followers, and you have the right systems in place in order to direct those viewers into the right place and convert them from viewers into followers, then you have this passive income machine just working for you at all times. Okay? Here are some specific and tangible examples you guys could look at. So this is a page in the neuroscience niche. So they're posting all types of content, videos, and pictures about neuroscience, which attracts people obviously interested in the topic. And then what he does is he directs these views, he directs his audience to his digital products that also have to do with neuroscience. So you can see he has a couple options: the Neurohackers Playbook, Biohacking the Brain. So they're kind of similar. They achieve different outcomes. And then he's selling that on his page, right? He has a little website here. He directs people to the website and people can check out these products and purchase them, right? And then once someone purchases them, it's just as simple as a digital download. The person selling them doesn't have to do anything after that point. And he could just continue selling them after making them only one time, all right? And then down here, we've got an example of a calisthenics page. So this page, this is actually someone I'm working with. His name is Ron. He posts content about calisthenics, other experts sort of explaining how it works and giving techniques. This is what his whole page revolves around. And what he does is he directs traffic towards this digital product here, which is an Ultimate Calisthenics Beginner Bootcamp, and it's an instant download. So this kind of just is a bootcamp that allows people who are new to calisthenics to have sort of a blueprint to work off of. It gives them specific exercises, the number of reps, what to do, what not to do, what mistakes to avoid, just a whole entire sort of blueprint or bootcamp that allows someone to do this, right? So essentially what these products are doing, guys, is they're solving a problem for the audience, right? The solution is packaged in the form of a digital product. So let's say people in the neuroscience niche, maybe a painful problem that they have is that, they can't focus, or, they sit down to work and they just are stressed and, their brain isn't working properly. Potentially this guy could put together some sort of digital product that allows people to understand and learn how they can overcome that. That way it's no longer a painful problem for them, right? Same here, a painful problem for someone in calisthenics niche is maybe they don't know where to start, they don't know what exercises to do, XYZ, you name it. And then this digital product is a solution for those problems, right? And that's how it should be presented on the page. And also, if we go down here, this is one of my pages actually in the motivation niche. All my content has to revolve around motivation and specifically sort of athletes in the basketball niche. And then I have a digital product called the GOAT Code, which essentially the whole spiel is that it allows people to learn the mindsets of the GOATs, right? Like Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, identify like what their mindset is and what's behind their mindset, what's behind their success, and breaking those concepts down in a digestible way. That way they could code it sort of into their own mind, into their own mentality. All right, so that's the GOAT Code. And that is another example of solving a problem within the audience and packaging solution as a digital product. Okay, then there's also physical products. So this is some benefits of this. Obviously, no inventory or storage needed. This is one that's actually not so obvious. People think that they have to deal with all this, inventory issues or shipping issues or return hassles. But what's amazing is that there's now these platforms that exist, Printify, Printful, which are print on demand, right? So you actually don't have to worry about all the headaches that come along with selling physical products. And of course, it takes some knowledge to understand how that works, but it's easy to set up and automate. Really what you do, how it works is you upload designs and you start selling. So you only have to pay for the order once a sale is made. So there's no upfront costs or low upfront costs. And it's also easily scalable because of this, okay? Some examples here. This is a client of mine, Matthias. He has a faith, religious, Christianity-based page where he posts quotes and reels about the Bible and faith, and he grows an audience this way. And what he does is he directs that audience towards this apparel here, this clothing brand, these physical products where he sells, shirts that have to do with faith and getting closer to God and, being proud of your faith, all this stuff here, all right? That's an example. There's also this other example in the motivation niche where, this one's a bigger page. He's posting content, he's attracting the audience. And then he has this website here where he has merch about his brand, right? He has hats, he has shirts, he has workout gear, and he directs the views and the traffic that he's gaining on this page from his content to this website here, which he's able to make sales from. And yeah, ideally, these people would have, I know Matthias does, I don't know about this guy, they should have print on demand set up. That way they don't have to worry about the inventory or shipping anything themselves. That's all handled by the Printify or Printful, right? Those are just a couple of options, there's more. All right, so now let's move on to paid promotions, shoutouts, and brand deals. All right, so for these guys, there's no product creation or fulfillment needed. So you're not creating a product, you don't have to fulfill anything. And this makes it the easiest way to monetize on Instagram once you've built an audience, right? There's minimal effort needed. There's really not much you're gonna have to do, and I'll explain to you why here. All you're really doing is simply promoting other brands or creators onto your page. All right. So think about it. Once you have gained this audience, once you have the attention of a large amount of people who are interested in the topic that your page is about, there's going to be other businesses, brands, or creators that also are interested in the market of that specific topic who are willing to pay creators like us in order to get access to our audience, in order to promote themselves and get attention from our audience on our pages. All right. And because of this, it's 100% profit per deal, right? There's nothing you have to do aside from repost the content that they give you, and it's 100% profit. That's like, there's no strings attached. Like they pay you, you post their stuff that they send to you. That's all it comes down to. And this also gives you the opportunity to build valuable relationships with others in your niche, all right? Because you could connect with other authoritative or credible characters or figures in your niche or brands in your niche that you never thought would have been possible beforehand. I mean, I know that's been the case for me. I mean, I've connected with some high-level entrepreneurs and other people in the AI space who, I knew before, but didn't ever think that I would, let's say, have a conversation with them or a business partnership with them. But as I was growing, these opportunities came up with partnerships and collaborations with them, which have led to pretty cool relationships, cool conversations that I wouldn't have thought would have happened before, which is pretty cool. That's like a side bonus. But let me give you some context on how these work. Right. So first up is a traditional paid promo. So in this example, someone reached out to me on one of my pages saying, paid promotion offer. They give some details and just say, if you're interested, let me know and we'll go over the rates and the details, right? And then I responded, I go over my rates, and this actually ended up closing into a $1,000 deal because this was more of like a bulk package. It was across a few of my pages. And yeah, this is someone I've talked with for some time now. He's a pretty cool guy. But yeah, this is an example of someone reaching out to me, which will happen a lot more often as you're growing and becoming even bigger, because people, like I said, simply want to promote themselves in front of your audience. But also you can reach out to others, right? If, let's say no one who you'd want to work with is reaching out to you, you could sort of take it into your own hands and reach out to others that you would want to have a collaboration with or think you could provide value to, right? That's always on the table. And also, let me give clarity on this as well, guys. When it comes to a paid promo, there's some nuance here, right? Because you don't want to be promoting some BS or some junk on your page, and that would irritate your audience and diminish trust and brand credibility. You don't want that. You want to make sure that you're only, this is your choice at the end of the day, but I suggest doing collabs and doing promos with others or other creators or other brands that actually align with your niche, that your audience would actually be interested in, that would actually provide value to your audience. That way you're not, promoting some junk in front of your audience, which is not good. Okay. There's also something called a logo promo, which is the reason why I bring this up, because essentially what this is you could get paid based off the amount of views that you get on a specific piece of content that you post if you have the logo of another business or, brand on the video somewhere on the screen. Right. So for example, this is not my video here. Someone reached out to me inquiring about this, saying they would pay $300 per million views, which I found to be legit since I talked with someone who was doing this. So that's a cool way to get paid for views from Instagram. So all you would have to do is just post a video and have, the logo of the brand or the business at the bottom. The reason that I'm not the hugest fan of this is because they have to do with, sports betting and gambling a lot of the time. And that just doesn't align with my morals or ethics. Although, I know others who have done this and, they have no problem with it. So you essentially kind of want to just analyze the opportunity that's coming to you, figure whether it's something that you'd want to do or promote in front of your audience. And then if you do, you can monetize that way, getting paid for views or getting paid from a payout like I showed you above, or you could decide not to do it, right? Either way. And the beautiful thing is there's multiple ways that you're monetizing. So you don't have to rely on, something you don't want to do in order to make money. And then lastly is just a traditional shout out. So let me show you how this works. So this is a page right here, sort of in the motivation niche. And you could see that one of their posts right here, which is on this other phone here, is a slideshow just about a specific topic. It's just some sort of content, which is normal. But these shout outs at the end have a CTA promoting a specific individual, right? So this guy said, my brother and I created a free guide showing you how you can get started, right? I'm pretty sure maybe these guys do something with Amazon, but then you could see in the caption, the page says follow the name of the page and DM them ready, right? So these people, the Zab twins, paid the owner of this page, Right Example, in order for the Right Example to post this type of carousel onto their page, right? And typically for these arrangements, you only keep it up for 24 hours and then you can delete them. All right, but that's another way that you can monetize through a traditional paid shout out. And there's also other forms of this. You could also get paid for having a specific, background sound in your reels, the same way you could get paid for having a specific logo in your reels. But here are just some examples, okay? And the last example that we're going to be going over here is newsletters. So this is not something that commonly comes to people's mind when they think about how to monetize on Instagram, but they're very, very, very powerful and they're underrated. Not too many people are talking about them or even know about them. So what's cool about newsletters is that there's multiple ways that you can monetize them, including boosts, which are suggested email signups, email ads where you could promote other businesses and brands in your emails, which is all hosted in the same platform. And it can be used for your own marketing. All right. So as you're growing your audience and also growing your email list, you could direct, that email list or those people in it wherever you want. Right. So if you launch a digital product or a physical product, for example, you can promote that product and market it through the email list that you're building. Right. And this is sort of an example of how you could begin thinking about how these different monetization options sort of work and integrate within each other. Okay. Also strengthens the trust with the audience because you could continue providing value to that audience through weekly emails or almost daily emails, and also allows you to build direct ownership. So that way you're not reliant on Instagram or the algorithm in order to reach your audience independently, right? Because you have them yourself on your own independent platform. And for newsletters, the best platform that I would suggest you guys is Beehive. Beehive allows you to monetize in all the ways that I've described, all in one place. You could set up a landing page similar to what I'm going to show you here, all in one place. It's just an all-in-one platform. I found it to be very reliable. And here's an example of what it would look like. So in my bio, I have on one of my pages, a section of the bios or the link in bios where someone could click on the newsletter. They sign up. And when they sign up, they're prompted with suggested newsletters. So these are newsletters that are similar to the niche that you're in and something ideally that your audience would find interested in, right? So like I said, one of my pages is basketball and motivation. So these are, some motivation-based newsletters, sports-based, basketball-based. And essentially for each person that subscribes to these suggested signups, I could get $2 to $5 per signup. And I'm allowed to have 5 different options here when it comes to suggested signups. And because of that, I'm able to receive payouts like this from Beehive, where I monetize directly off of people signing up to suggested newsletters just passively, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I know that might sound a little confusing now if this is the first time you're hearing about this, about how it all works, but it's really not too complicated once you kind of just, peel back a layer and look into it a little bit, all right? And what's beautiful, like I said about this already, guys, is that you could do multiple of these simultaneously. So it's not like you're just restricted to just one way of monetizing or one path. So rather than being dependent on one source of income, you could have multiple, right? So that way, if you see one that's working better than others, you could double down on that. If there's one that you just don't like and don't think would be good for your page, you don't have to do it. You have multiple different options, all right? And now we are on to step 6, all right? This is the last step, and it has to do with automation. So essentially, as you're growing, as you're building your brand, and as you're starting to make some good money, what you could do in order to scale is reinvest some earnings, right? So some of the money that you're making, maybe like, 10, 20, even 30% of it, kind of depends on what you're comfortable with. I suggest more because this potential is huge here. And the more you put into it, the more money you're going to be making. You could reinvest some earnings into hiring VAs, virtual assistants, and implementing systems which allow you to scale, right? To higher numbers, higher levels. And this is sort of what this looks like, guys. So for example, let's say you're the business owner, right? Because that's what you are. We're not running some little side hustle here. This is a legitimate business. What you could do is hire VAs, right? Virtual assistants, people that sort of work for you, to create the content for you, to schedule the content for you on your pages, to manage your page or your pages, and to engage with your audience. And that way, essentially, what happens is that you're able to grow and monetize on autopilot. So what you're doing is you're outsourcing the low leverage maintenance work tasks. That way you're not in the trenches, you're not creating the content every single day, you're not scheduling the content yourself, you're not managing the page, you're not having to engage with your audience. That's what's handled by other people, which then allows you to grow and monetize on autopilot and ultimately free up your time, right? Or focus it more on more high leverage tasks, more money making tasks, right? And what you could do with that time is your choice, right? You could choose to, chill out on a beach or do whatever, or you could say, okay, cool. Well, I built this on one page, let me put this extra time and energy that I now have into building another page. And that's how you could build an empire of these pages, which is what you've seen I've done and which is what you'll see other people who I've worked with have done, all right? Because that's the best way. Once you see the proof of concept, once you see it's working, you invest back into the business, you free up your time, and you scale it even further to higher levels, okay? So yeah, guys, that is essentially the full step-by-step process on how you could start your very own profitable faceless Instagram theme page from scratch. Now listen, there's something that I want to bring up here really, really quickly, which is so important. And it may seem obvious, but at the same time, most likely your actions aren't showing it, all right? And that is that everything that you've learned or watched over the past 40 minutes, paying attention, focusing up, maybe even taking some notes, none of it matters if you don't act on it, all right? Please don't be one of those people who just jumps from YouTube video to YouTube video, who's in that endless cycle of consuming content and doesn't actually take action or do anything about it. And I know it's a vicious cycle. They call it tutorial hell. I mean, I've been there myself, so I know what it's like. But please do yourself a favor and try to avoid that. Remember that results only stem from taking actions, right? Nothing is going to change if nothing changes, if you continue watching YouTube videos like this, all right? So I highly encourage you to take action on it. You've seen the process, you've seen results that you could expect. So just do yourself a favor and take action. All right, please, for your own sake. And for those who are genuinely serious about this and you're going to take action, and instead of going off all by yourself, trying to figure out everything alone, or, wasting time doing the trial and error, if you want to avoid that and you want to learned from someone who's experienced it, who's been through it, who's proven he could help other people, and someone who just genuinely wants to help, not just like some surface level, copy paste guru who claims this and that, someone who just genuinely wants to help, then consider taking a look at the top link in the description where I'll leave a link for you to jump on a one-on-one call with me. All right. That way we could kind of discuss your situation, see if I'm even able to help in the first place. And if I can, if we both think so, great, we could get straight to work. And if not, no problem at all. I'll at least point you in the right direction. At least you could see if this is something for you. You have really nothing to lose. All right. And this is for people who are genuinely serious about this. This is not for people who are kind of just like thinking this as like a little side hustle or doing it for fun. If you genuinely want to grow, build, and monetize your page into a full-blown business, then we could have a discussion about it, see if it makes sense for us to work together. All right. But aside from that, guys, thank you for staying until the end. I hope you got value from the video. Leave a comment if there's anything that was unclear or if you have any questions. But outside of that, just make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel to see more valuable videos like this in the future. But aside from that, I will see you guys next time. Peace.